Democratic conspiracy theories are rising, and that might be a good sign for Gavin Newsom. Let's rewind to 2024 real quick. There was one moment during Kamala Harris's short presidential campaign that really predicted where the Democratic Party was moving. Harris was introducing Tim Walz as her running mate, and Walz was doing what vice presidential nominees do, going after the other team's VP nominee. He did all the standard stuff about how J.D. Vance was bad, etc. And then he said this.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So,
in case you live under a rock, that was a reference to the internet meme that J.D. Vance had a formative pubescent experience with a couch. So this kind of partisan jeering is not totally new. Everyone's been doing it forever. But what was new was this making it all the way to the podium of the Democratic presidential ticket. This was Democrats' nominee for vice president, openly alluding to a clearly false, R-rated joke, rumor about their opponent for laughs. And Walz was not alone. Other Democratic leaders followed suit.
I wouldn't trust them to move my couch.
You know, his running mate, as you probably have heard, is, getting known for his obsession with couches.
You better hide behind that sofa because we're coming for you.
Now, you can say a million things about that whole episode, but the reason it really mattered was that it was a sign of something bigger, something that has only accelerated after Trump won his second term. Democrats are becoming a lot more comfortable with stuff that they used to make a big deal about opposing. And that starts with conspiracy theories. And in this video, I want to talk about the rise of some liberal conspiracy theories, why this is happening, and what it tells us about Democrats more broadly. First, let's talk about the actual conspiracies. Now, this might not be something you've seen much of if you're not in certain corners of the internet, but a whole lot of liberals now believe that Donald Trump rigged the 2024 presidential election. This first began almost immediately after November. Posts denying Trump's win flooded basically all social media platforms. And these weren't small. These went mega viral. I mean, look at this. Hundreds of thousands of reposts and likes. Just do a quick search on any platform and you'll see thousands of posts still holding on to this stuff. And there are a lot of subdivisions here. Some of these people claim that there are missing votes. Some of them allege an intricate plot of Elon Musk rigging voting machines. And at least some people on TikTok, who call themselves the 4 a.m. Club, claim that we have entered a separate dimension that began in the middle of election night, and Kamala Harris actually won in a different timeline.
Basically, on November 6th, thousands of people were woken up around 4 a.m., and those people were called to anchor in the higher timeline where Kamala was the winner.
This is actually kind of my favorite because it is so insane. A lot of people have referred to it as the liberal equivalent of QAnon, a blending of spirituality and conspiracism and politics. And like QAnon, it's not really indicative of where the mainstream is. A lot of it is just kooky, crystal, turquoise jewelry lady stuff.
If I am interpreting my meditation downloads correctly, that we will begin collapsing those timelines.
Which is not exactly new, but it's no longer just them. In December 2024, Monmouth, a very good and respected national pollster, found a quarter of Democrats saying that Trump did not win the election fairly. And that number has only grown since. A summer 2025 Economist YouGov poll found that 41% of those who voted for Kamala Harris think that Trump did not legitimately win the election. At least one member of Congress, Representative Jasmine Crockett, has winked at this theory. Crockett's basically positioned herself as the Democrats' id in the second Trump term. So it tells us something, that this is where the Democratic id is right now. Another example is the Rockland County conspiracy theory. This has really caught fire online. It claims that in Rockland County, New York, many votes for Kamala Harris were deleted, which shows that there was some broad vote-rigging conspiracy. The evidence offered is that the Democratic candidate for Senate, Kirsten Gillibrand, received hundreds or thousands of votes in some precincts, while Harris got single digits or zero. Now, here's the actual reality. Every impartial observer who's looked at this says that there is no merit to it whatsoever. The reason is that Rockland County is a super unique place. It has the highest Jewish population of any county in the country, and it specifically has a high population of Orthodox and Hasidic Jewish communities, which very often vote for candidates as a whole block. Entire neighborhoods or communities all often cast votes for one candidate or the other, depending on who wins their leader's favor. And it's actually happened many times before that candidates from different parties have gotten wildly different totals. But it's not just theories about the election. Spend any time in liberal corners of Instagram or Threads or TikTok or Twitter, and you will regularly see posts casting doubt on the legitimacy of Trump's assassination attempt. Look at this, hundreds of thousands of likes and comments. Again, the exact terms vary. Some say it was staged, some say he was hit, but not with a bullet, but the core is the same, denying what science and evidence and reality tell us. And that gets to the why here. Let's start with what I would call conspiracy theory rule 1. When reality becomes hard to reckon with, alternatives to reality become really appealing. A 2017 study on conspiracy theories backs this up. It found that one of people's most basic needs is to, quote, feel safe and secure in their environment, and that people, quote, turn to conspiracy theories when these needs are threatened. And this is a common theme in the psychology of conspiracy theories. The author of another study describes people as, quote, turning to conspiracy theories to fulfill deprived motivational needs and make sense of distress and impairment. And in case it's not clear by now, the 2024 election caused your average Democrat severe distress. Quick recap. Donald Trump, the most reviled figure in the Democratic Party since ever, not only returned to the White House, but shattered the Democrats' coalition on the way. He gained in every single state in the country, the first time any candidate has done that in 44 years, and Republicans won the popular vote for the first time in 2 decades. There is no way to look at that outcome as anything but a political and cultural cataclysm for the Democratic Party. And as those studies show us, that's the exact kind of backdrop for when conspiracy theories flourish. But there's another element here, what I would call conspiracy theory rule 2. The internet is pouring gas on conspiratorial thinking. It sometimes feels funny to talk about the internet in all of this because it's just life, you know? But it really is a crucial part of this. Studies show over and over again that the longer someone spends on the internet, the more likely they are to believe conspiracy theories. And the correlation between more internet and more conspiracy theories is hard to ignore. One 2023 study at Cornell found that we are living in a golden age of conspiracy theories. We're all spending more and more time on the internet, so it stands to reason that more and more of us are going to have conspiratorial thinking. And there's a couple layers to this. One, the internet is very good at making us feel like we are not alone. Whether we know it or not, basically all of us have had some experience with this. From the only 90s kids can relate to this BuzzFeed quizzes, to the Tumblr communities,
this super moody 2015 Tumblr aesthetic,
to TikTok accounts about keto cooking. The internet is a workaround of traditional barriers and small circles. You can find a community to join and to back you up on your suspicions or dislikes in a way that just did not exist before. On top of that, the internet has democratized our access to information about past conspiracy theories proved right. We can now access, in seconds, information about insane schemes and plots that we were once told were crackpot tinfoil insane. And that's just naturally going to make us wonder if maybe we're onto something this time. So there's a lot of contributors here, but the basic stuff is pretty clear. Distress makes us more likely to turn to conspiracy theories, and the internet accelerates that. And that is very likely what's going on with Democrats. They're experiencing the distress of really, actually, truly getting rejected by the American electorate for the first time since the modern internet arrived. I mean, think about it. 2024 was the first time since Facebook and Twitter and YouTube were invented that more of the country actually voted for the Republican candidate than the Democratic one. Republicans had that experience in 2008, 2012, 2020, even 2016. And many of them, including some major figures, reacted with wild conspiracy theories after those defeats. Birth certificates, voter fraud, election rigging. But for Democrats, 2024 was the first time. And the fact that they are doing a lot of what Republicans have done when they lost is pretty notable. Now, of course, it is important to note that these are not at equivalent levels right now. Not a single Democrat in Congress voted against certifying Trump's 2024 win, whereas a majority of congressional Republicans did after 2020. That same poll that found 41% of Democratic voters saying Trump did not win fairly in 2024, which is crazy, also found 70% of Republican voters still saying Biden did not win fairly in 2020, which is also crazy. But this movement of Democratic voters still matters. And it's a sign that for all the believe science signs and the self-conception of being the party of evidence and reason, their party was maybe just getting lucky for a stretch. So part of this is the internet and social media. Part of it is Democrats having their first taste of what Republicans have been dealing with for years. Part of it is the combo of the two. But there's a third thing going on here. Democrats are intentionally becoming more like Republicans. Remember that Rockland County conspiracy theory that Kamala Harris got 0 votes some places, therefore there was fraud? That actually has huge parallels to something that emerged on the right after the 2012 election. That year, Mitt Romney performed absolutely horrifically in many urban areas. It was a huge reason why he lost to Barack Obama. In fact, he performed so poorly that there were some urban precincts, like in Philadelphia, that he actually received 0 votes. None. And for a lot of Republicans, that was unfathomable, to the point that many of them decided the real explanation was that Democrats cheated. Like Rockland County, there was never any proof offered, there was never any shred of evidence offered. But, as we talked about before, the reality of what had actually happened was so hard to reckon with that an alternative to reality was more appealing. And the fact that these two conspiracy theories are so similar really emphasizes how much 2024 could end up being for Democrats what 2012 was for Republicans. A feeling that the re-election of the president they hated showed that the country had fundamentally changed. That to win again, they needed a far more urgent, far more aggressive style of politics. And that is where Gavin Newsom comes in. By now, it's pretty clear that the lesson many Democrats are taking from 2024 is that they have been too nice, too focused on rules, and too unwilling to meet Republicans on their battlefield. You see this basically all over, from how Democrats are diagnosing their loss,
Democrats have been too attached to a status quo,
to how they're talking about the gerrymandering arms race.
This is a war. We are at war.
Their elected representatives are calling for it.
I'm going to support fighting fire with fire.
The chair of the DNC is shouting.
This isn't your grandfather's Democratic Party where you bring a pencil to a knife fight. We are bringing a bazooka to a knife fight.
And Newsom, more than anyone else, has led the charge. Unless you are completely out of the loop, you probably know that Newsom has basically already begun his 2028 presidential campaign. And he's betting big on the idea that Democrats are essentially going to be looking for their own Trump. He's actually been pushing this kind of approach for years. Back in 2022, he literally ran ads in Florida and Texas that directly attacked red states in a way Democrats had, until then, largely shied away from.
Freedom? It's under attack in your state. Or join us in California, where we still believe in freedom.
Now, Republicans have talked about blue America that way for a long time. For years, they've invoked blue states and cities wherever they can, sometimes literally running ads mocking blue state liberals.
ISIS? They're overrated.
San Francisco loves them some John Ossoff.
I mean, you can't even get half of Trump's tweets attacking blue America on one page. But Newsom started to do something almost no Democrats had done before. Go directly after the broader idea of red state governance.
8 of the top 10 murder states in this country, red states. What bullshit.
And he's wildly escalating that now, including by allying with Democratic social media influencers the way Trump has long done with Fox News or conservative commentators. Other potential candidates, like Maryland Governor Wes Moore, are tiptoeing towards the same approach. But Newsom is by far leading the charge. And so far, it looks like it's paying off. His social media following has exploded, and he's surged in early 2028 primary polls. Now, obviously, these are not all the same thing. Neither Newsom nor any major Democratic leader has indulged the conspiracy theory that Kamala Harris actually won. Crude or trolly social media posts are not the same as conspiracy theories. And conspiracy theories are not the same as a more pugnacious or aggressive approach to politics. But all of these are downstream from one overarching development. Democratic voters increasingly want their leaders to abandon the we go high ground and become more like Republicans. Essentially, you can think about it like this. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Democrats were led by figures who pitched themselves as the antidote to Donald Trump, the converse of him. Now, whether you think it's right or wrong, whether you agree or disagree, they're increasingly moving towards not looking for the antidote to Trumpism, but their own form of Trumpism. Now, there is no guarantee that that will stay the case through 2028, but it increasingly looks like that will be the landscape of Democrats' next primary. And if it is, it could reward the guy who was first to the party. Like this video? Hate this video? Do you think Newsom is now the Democratic frontrunner? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss a video.